not in person. But I wanted to take a few minutes just to say, first of all, thank you so much to the party chair, to the precinct chairs, to every single one of you who has fought so hard over the years to help elect Democrats in Denton County and in Texas and across the country. As you all know, the last few weeks have been very tough because Greg Abbott and the Republicans, under the direction of Donald Trump, have decided to do an illegal gerrymandering of Texas, cutting up communities across the state. And even though it's true that Latino and African American communities will be hit hardest, I think it's also true that every single Texan will be hurt by this gerrymandering. And why do I say that? Because they want to replace 5 Democrats with 5 Republicans who are going to do things like vote to cut cancer research, cut people's health care, cut Medicaid, cut SNAP benefits or nutrition assistance, and also lay out plans to cut Social Security and Medicare in the future. And so we have a clear mission in front of us. We have to make sure that we vote our way out of this mess in 2026. That we elect a new senator, a new governor, a new lieutenant governor, a new attorney general, a new ad commissioner, all of it, up and down the ballot. And I believe that we have an incredible opportunity to win, not only statewide, but also in communities where we haven't always been competitive before. And so, I know it's hard. I know that there are a lot of folks, especially over the last many years, who've gotten down, frustrated, depressed sometimes, but I want you all to have faith and hope that we're going to get out of this thing together and that there are brighter days ahead. I believe that's true. And I believe that when we get there, it will be in large part because of the work you've done and all of your passion and all of your commitment. So thank you all so much for everything you're doing. Best of luck.
Texas Democrats are as diverse as the vast landscape. We're doctors, farmers, entrepreneurs, educators. But our everyday concerns are the same. Affordable groceries we put on the table and the medical care that keeps us healthy. Providing a safe, quality education to every child. Preserving the promises we've made to our seniors. Ensuring prosperity for all Texans. To tackle these issues, we need fighters who understand them, and that's why we're so grateful to have you on our team. Under Chairwoman Delia Parker-Mims' leadership, we've made quantitative improvements, setting us up for future victories. You answer for a call to identify, engage, and start, click on the contact to first join office. While major counties lost Democratic votes in 2024, together, you are a powerhouse and in present on the news. It means partnership and funding from Texas Majority Party. It means a new relationship with the state partner. It means standing up to extremism and never backing down. It's time to focus on what unites us. All of us. It's time to get to work.
Welcome! Y'all having a good time? Welcome to Denton County. We are so excited to have a room full of distinguished guests in our county. I'm Delia Parker-Mims, chair of the Denton County Democratic Party. Say it with me. the best Denton County party in the state of Texas. And on behalf of Denton County, I welcome you. We are excited to have all eyes on Denton County. But before we begin, I want to acknowledge Vikki Goodwin. To our representatives and every member who took that stand, let me say this clearly. Thank you. Thank you for reminding us that leadership is not about titles or positions, it's about courage. And thank you for showing us that sometimes protecting democracy means risking everything for what is right. Thank you for showing us that sometimes it's important to honor the legacy of the people who came before us, and that means stepping in their shoes and fighting at times. And we appreciate that you've done that. To remind us that the march that they made, those who bled and those who died, so that every Texan can continue to vote and their voice be heard. Because of your actions, Texans saw that democracy is not just an idea on paper. It's something we must fight to protect and pass on to the next generation. And tonight, we recommit ourselves to fight with you and to stand with you in doing that. We will organize, we will mobilize, and we will not back down because you showed us that democracy is worth it. And so are the people of Texas. So let us thank our representatives and those who showed us what it means to get these personal lives. Let's honor them, and let us promise that their courage will not be in vain. Tonight. We welcome our state chair, Mr. Kendall Scudder, and some of our statewide candidates, Ms. Polly Taylor, who is running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. When Texas women are being criminally charged for making their own healthcare decisions, when those cases get litigated and get appealed, they go to the Criminal Court of Appeals. And it is so important that we have Democrats. As you have seen, it is important to have Democrats at all levels of our judiciary. So we're going to work hard to make sure that happens. We're pleased to have Clayton Tucker, the candidate for agricultural position. As he puts it, he's running to replace that fool. And we want him to be replaced. If you care about the cost of food on your tables, then that is the Agricultural Commission race, and we definitely need to pay attention at the top of the ticket. We're pleased to have Ben Flores, who is running for governor of Texas. Nothing needs to be said about that, right? Because we need to get rid of that governor. We're also pleased to have Mark Neer, who is running for Congressional District 13. I think that's Marty Jackson, right? Yeah. He's the man who's always drunk on the job. And he's a medical doctor, believe that or not. We have Ernest Lineberger running for Congressional District. Chris has worked very hard, and he certainly has become a fan favorite in Denton County. We have Evan Hunt, who's running for Congressional District 3. And Mr. Del Frey, I don't know if he's made it yet. He's here. County Commissioner Precinct 2, and where we need those county commissioner seats, that's where we get our access to voting locally. We can ignore people doing executive orders to change our ballots, but what we are concerned with are those officials who will take what he has directed and try to do that here. So we definitely need Democrats on our county commission. Right now, we don't have any. I'm also very happy to be here to see some of our friends. Is Gina around?
Yeah, she's here.
Where is she? Oh, is she over there? Where are you, Gina? Oh, there you are. Thank you so much for coming. Gina changed her flights to be here, and I'm so grateful that she's been able to make it. I don't know if Barbara is here, but I know Jocelyn is here, and I want to thank you guys for all of your support and mentoring that we've always done for me throughout the years. I definitely appreciate that. Our pastor, Brenda, and Delvin Atchison, I appreciate you guys showing your support. And I want to thank my family. This is a family affair because what's happening in America, nobody can sit on the sidelines. So my sister's precinct chair, Juanita, she's here somewhere. Trying to get my brother-in-law, Fred, to become one of our photographers. Let's say, do it, Fred. Do it, Fred. We need to become one of our photographers. Of course, you know my son, Lawrence, and my daughter, Camila. And my brother, Leon, is the DJ, so I hope you all have some fun tonight. And thank you, Chris, for all of the years, lifelong friend as one of our DJs tonight. We're gonna have some fun after it's over. And to my executive team, Leslie, Amy, Danica, Tony, Shannon, Diane, thank you guys so much for making me look good. And you guys always do. We run our organization like a business, and that's how we are able to be so organized as we are. I also want to do a special shout out to Billy. Where's he? Where's Billy? Thank you, sir. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Billy is always there to support the party, and he's been very supportive, so I appreciate that. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't give a special thank you to Tamala Woolman, our LBJ chair extraordinaire. Using our talents in this manner, we are so appreciative of your diligence and the spirit of excellence with which you work. While we are thanking people, I want to also send out a special shout out to Jim Williams, our former office manager. He retired from, there you are, Mr. Tubbs. Looking good. He retired from working in our office, but he hasn't stopped working with us. So I'm so grateful for him getting us set up to go forward and to still be there with us and guiding us in our office setup. I'm just so excited to see our sold out LBJ Obama dinner, appropriately themed Texas Democrats, one team. And as many of you know, I ran for state party chair, and when I decided to run, I wasn't thinking about titles, I was thinking about you, the great volunteers of Denton County. You inspire me. And telling the state all about the hard work that we have been doing and the togetherness that we've been doing it in, that's what inspired me to run. There are not many things to be happy about these days, as you know, looking on the news. But when I think of Denton County volunteers, our precinct chairs, our candidates, our PAC getting together, working together to achieve a common goal, that's really one of the only things that uplifts me during this time period, is that in Denton County, we do work together as one team. We are the ones who knock on doors until your feet ache in the heat, the cold, the rain. You're the ones who make calls until your voice is hoarse. And you do this because you believe democracy is worth it. I wanted the whole state to see what I see. The heart, the grit, the relentless hope of Denton County. And I ran to shine a spotlight on your courage, your creativity, your power, and most importantly, your unity. You're the engine, you're the moment, you're the reason Texas will turn blue and Texas will move towards a more just and progressive state. In the halls of power, it starts on porches, in coffee shops, and at kitchen tables where volunteers like you turn conversations into commitments, and commitments into votes. Our one team mindset in Denton County is a model that needs to be replicated statewide. That's why I ran for chair. And that is why I'm so excited to have all eyes on Denton County today, because we embody that theme, one team. Our clubs are perhaps one of the most inspirational aspects. We've got clubs in every corner of the county. We've got a lot of work done through our clubs while working with our party. There is a Democratic club in everywhere, in the north, south, east, and the west. And we're not just meeting, we're organizing, we're educating, and we're advocating. I don't even know how we will begin to even select our best club of the year, because they're all working very hard and inspired and encouraging. And you can find a club that best fits you. Let's see, we have our Lantana Dems. They are a steady force. I think I'm a little intimidated by the Lantana Dems, because you know Gina and Dean, they look like nice ladies. And they are. They're nice ladies. But do not get it twisted. They are laser focused, and they do not underestimate, and you should not underestimate the power of their resolve. And their club is perhaps one of the first clubs that is putting out legislative updates, and they're doing all kinds of things that we just stop back and look at. One of my, then there's the 380 Dems. Are they around? You heard that Morris sound because they bought like 6 tables. So describe them, as they're very techy, very savvy, very slick. I kind of think of them as like the sexy club. But they are working nonstop, and they are inspiring that area, and so they're a spot that you can find yourself at home. If you're in the 380 area, anywhere along that line, there's a 380 club waiting for you. Now, one of my favorites are the Sanger Dems. There they are over there. See, they remind me of the Tortoise and the Rabbit, because they may have started off and they may move a little slow, but they move steady and they move constantly, and they're moving forward. And before you know it, they're gonna have more people in that Sanger, that red area, coming to their meetings than they truly expect. And I appreciate the doubling of precinct chairs that they were able to do, so that we can get. See, the Ropes and Ranch Dems, now they're amongst the best. They are the blue in a sea of red. But they don't back down. It's where they live, so they can't back down. They have to stand up where they're at. And they have the courage to do that. And they also have some of our best precinct chairs. They meet regularly and in ropes and rants. But it's Robeson, right? It's Robeson Ranch. It's spelled incorrectly. And I want to thank Jane for her incredible work on vote centers. And I'm so excited to see Cherry. Thank you for coming out every year. I appreciate you for coming. All the other hard-working clubs like the Frisco Dems and the Plano area Dems, they kind of share a dual personality. Are we calling? But nevertheless, they're always working with both groups, trying to find ways to increase engagement within their community. So I'm so proud of them. And I see you over there, Rolanda. Glad you got back from China. It's good to see you. She had a wonderful vacation. Then there's the old faithful, the Flower Mound Dems. See, they've been around for quite a while, and it was their work that helped us usher in our first Democratic mayor. Shout out to Cheryl. Right, they paid attention to putting people on boards and commissions and grooming people to run for city council and school board, and that's how we were able to put somebody on the ballot with a great resume, and I appreciate all that they do. Laura is so hardworking and diligent when it comes to putting people in these communities. And Fawn is always working. I didn't even know she wasn't a precinct chair until recently. She always sees her doing so much. I'm so happy that you're going to be a precinct chair. Now, I do have a bone to pick with the Flower Mound. Do y'all know what that bone is? I went skating with them. So it's amazing I am standing up today. But I figure if the athletes can go and get some shots, I could probably do a little bit of the same. So I'm here looking fabulous, but it's a miracle. Flower Mound had me out there skating, and my doctor said you have muscles you haven't used in years, which was really nice since I just had a birthday. So now I know I'm too old for that. But thank you. It was a great time. Now I'm seeing are anybody from our Kelton clubs here? It's great to see them up, and I was at one of their events this week. I looked really different there, didn't I? I think I was walking in with a cane, and so they were like, "Are you gonna do this week?" I'm like, "I'll be ready. I don't know how, but I made it." But I'm excited to see all that they're doing in their hives. They call it their beehives, and the way they've broken down their neighborhoods, kind of like our Project 26 and our clusters. So we're excited to see that happen. And you see why thinking of the volunteers in Denton County is one of the only things that makes me excited these days, because we are working in a way to increase turnout, and we do that the best here in the state. And we're doing that by working together as one team. We have the UNT College Democrats. We are so happy you are here. We are always being asked about young voters, and we're so happy to be working in partnership with UNT. They look wonderful. Y'all stand up, everybody see college people. They look fabulous. And thank y'all for helping today, and we look forward to working with you. And here's what's really exciting. Not only do we have the UNT Dems, I know we have the young Dems of Denton County. Where are y'all? Over there? It used to be the youngest people in the room. Remember those days? Not so much. How y'all feel? Do your bones feel okay? Because I've got some other people that are even younger than the UNT Dems. We have a high school Dems who have chartered their own high school Democratic. So there's plenty of people here who can mentor our high school Dems, our UNT Dems, and our young Dems. We're working in every facet that we can in Denton County together as what? One team. One team. And I don't want to miss the Denton Dems. They do get together and have lunch. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. But they're revitalizing and getting back together, and it's exciting to see that. And of course, the revitalization of Denton Together only adds more resources and tools to reach voters with the collective energy. So we're so excited that Denton Together has revitalized and is working, because we need resources coming from every area. But more importantly, when we do that, we need to work as one team. There was a time in Denton County when we were not so functional. We languished in attacking one another rather than getting the work done. So it's truly one of the things I'm most proud of, and running for state was the perfect opportunity to shine a light on what we are doing. And of course, none of this could be done without our precinct chairs and our cluster leaders. Please give them a round of applause. We're adding new precinct chairs each month, and I know Con and Sarah spent months upon months calling, helping us to locate and identify precinct chairs, so we're so appreciative for that. And then we rolled out our clusters and then our Project 2026, and through all of our clusters and with our program, we're still recruiting precinct chairs, and we're getting more and more. And our Project 2026 is a rallying cry to unite and begin the work now to shut this shit down. As I traveled around the state and talked to many different county chairs, many looking for answers, many still trying to galvanize their base, I knew then why Denton County was the largest county to increase Democratic turnout in the last 2 election cycles in the state of Texas. I proudly spoke about Denton County at every forum, and I pointed out that while the national and state trend in increasing Democratic turnout is going down, in Denton County, it's going up. And we did that by working as one team. Not as liberals or progressives, not as leftists, but as one team. Not by embracing identity politics, not by competing against each other for accolades, but by working together for a common goal. By understanding that the walls of our democracy can only stand when people are willing to fight for it. And we do that in Denton County. So it is my pleasure to award Denton County, the volunteers, our precinct chairs, our clubs, our donors, and all of us that are working for that common goal, this trophy. And this is to represent how hard that we work in Denton County and how we do it together. We can, and together we must. We can do it together, and we must. You know we must, right? We don't have a choice. So I'm going to say it like this: si podemos y juntos debemos. We can, and together we must. So I want y'all to say it with me. Together we can, and together we must. And we're going to say that in Spanish. Si podemos y juntos debemos. We can together and we must. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. We must work together as one team. We have a backdrop out front with all of our clubs on there, if you might have seen it. And that is for all of our clubs to take pictures together and with this trophy to take back to your clubs to show how hard you guys have been working as one team. And that when we work together, we can achieve results. It's appropriate to celebrate and reflect on how far we've come. As a county, as a county party, as Democrats in Denton County, we are bolder, we're much more organized, and we're better funded, and we work more strategically. But we cannot confuse progress with completion. But together, we are the engine, we are the movement, we are the reason Texas will turn towards justice and progress. So getting that message out is why I ran for state chair. And that's why I'll keep fighting for Denton County. That's also why I am honored to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is someone who I know will also fight for Texas and will work with Denton County. Kendall Scudder. He is unequivocally the best man for the job at this time, and he has my full and complete support, and I am so proud that he is joining us tonight. Please welcome our Texas State Party Chair, Kendall Scudder.
I'm just so grateful for y'all letting me come and hang out here with y'all today. Thank you, Chairwoman Parker-Mims, for your great words. So you're correct. The only path forward for us as a party, whether you're in Denton County or you're in Cameron County, is being on one team, operating together, moving in the same direction with a shared goal. That's to win some elections. 60 years ago this month was the passage of the Voting Rights Act, led by a great Texas Democrat, Lyndon Johnson. It's pretty symbolic, right, that exactly 60 years later, we're in the thralls of the fight that we're fighting right now, that our great state representatives took it upon themselves to teach a lesson or two to Greg Abbott. Very grateful. In every single redistricting cycle in the last 60 years, Texas has violated the Voting Rights Act. Every single one of them. And what we're looking at right now, with the legislature just passed, is yet another violation of the Voting Rights Act. Here's the good news that I have for you in this, that if the letter of the law stands as it should, I anticipate that Democrats in Texas will once again be victorious in court against these maps, as we have every single redistricting cycle in Texas since the Voting Rights Act was passed. But what is also really important for people to remember in this fight is that for years, Texas Democrats were doing anything they could just to stand up a Democratic Party. And that we have been doing everything we could to try to show people that Texas Democrats are different than the National Party. Being a National Democrat is different than it is being a Texas Democrat. I think we just showed that to the entire country. And instead of a situation where we're all trying to differentiate ourselves and make ourselves different, what I see right now is an entire country of Democrats trying to be more like Texas Democrats. Because Texas Democrats don't work for Donald Trump. We work for the people of Texas. Full stop. We don't take orders from Donald Trump. We take orders from the people of Texas. We don't stand aside and allow Republicans to steamroll us and consistently disrespect us. They disrespect us. We'll disrespect them back. The days of Democrats taking pictures are over. It's time for us to start throwing them. That's what the Texas Democratic House members taught us in the last month. And I am so proud to be the chairman of the party that has those members. I think what's so exciting about it to me is I get to go to a DNC meeting next week. And I would tell you, I'm not into DNC meetings. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to this one because the entire country has been able to showcase these awesome fighters that we have here. I've known, you've known how great our Democratic electeds are. But it's such a great point of pride for me, for the whole country, to have an opportunity to see a Vikki Goodwin and a James Talarico. This fight can't stop here. I know that some people were upset whenever the quorum was restored. I have phases where I ebb into that myself. But what I've told people all across the country when I've been doing these interviews and when everybody's been trying to get intel and stuff on this, I say, look, for how long are Texas Democrats expected to bear the burden of democracy? When are blue states going to step up and fight as hard as Texas Democrats? And when our House Dems got on the national stage saying that with a megaphone, they changed the course of history. Because California started moving, you're going to see more start doing it too. They have taught this country to fight, and I'm just eternally grateful to have the opportunity to lead a party of fighters. As this item runs through the courts, there's going to be other fights ahead of us. And whether we win all of them or lose all of them, the commitment that I'm here to make to you today is that the Texas Democratic Party will fight with the same zeal in every single one of those fights as we fought in this last one. Because we are not going to roll over and allow Republicans to steal this democracy from the people of this country. The billionaire class has taken the country. The billionaire class have decided to run amok with your tax dollars, to use them as their own personal feeding trough. A man who lives in a gold-plated building with his gold-plated name on the outside of it and shits in a gold-plated toilet is trying to convince people he's working for you. I don't think you're that dumb. I don't think that people in this country are that dumb. And I know that Donald Trump knows that the people in this country aren't. That's why they're drawing the maps the way they are. But I've got a fun story for you. You can't redistrict a statewide. Republicans are about to nominate the least popular elected official in Texas as their standard bearer. A certified fraudster, a literal thief, a man whose only defense of his piss poor behaviors, don't blame me, I was just cheating on my wife. He's a certified garbage person. And I can't think of a better person fit to be the standard bearer for that party. And when they do that, Texas Democrats are going to have the opportunity to show this entire country the fruits of our labor. To show this entire country what happens when you don't just roll over to a dictator. What does it look like Whenever power tries to oppress you and tyranny is knocking on the door, and instead of hiding, you stood up, you looked them in the face, and you fought back. And we're going to flood the United States Senate seat in 2026. The Texas Democratic Party is going to do things differently than the way we've done it in the past. We're showing up in every corner of this state, not just the population centers, but where everyone lives, which is in every county in the state. That is how you build something that we can grow on. That's how you build something that can be successful. This party can't win from ivory towers in Austin. This party wins when we take our message to people, when we look them in the eye, when we shake their hands, when we tell them what we stand for, when we ask them for their vote. It may sound weird hearing the millennial chair tell you we've got to get back to basics. We got to get back to the old-fashioned way of doing things, y'all. Because when we did things that way, we won elections. And back when we were winning those elections, what were we doing? We were fighting on one team. We weren't fighting one another. We had our eye on the prize. I remind you of that great coordinated campaign of 1980. I was negative 10 years old. Some of you may have been around during that. With greats like Jim Hightower, Darren Morrow, Dan Richards, Lloyd Benson. It was a dream team that went to every corner of the state together, in unison, showing people what we stand for as a party. We are a party that will take on whatever billionaire or whatever banker we have to. We will flip whatever tables we need to flip because we work for the people of Texas. Working class people deserve to know who Democrats are and who's fighting for them. I don't think we've done a good job of letting them know that in the past. And they let us know we didn't do a very good job of letting them know that in the past. But what we're building is not only a political apparatus, but a party that stands for something. A party that's not just trying to preserve institutions, but is trying to expand them and make lives better. We're not just trying to preserve your Social Security. Democrats are trying to expand your Social Security. We're not just trying to make sure you get to see a doctor when you're sick. We're fighting to make sure you get to see a doctor before you're sick. When we put big, progressive, bold ideas in front of the public, our party does great. When I think of the things that this party's done over the last, or the great things that have happened in this country over the last 100 years, I think of things brought to you by Democrats. I think of things like the New Deal.
Yes.
Where they brought electricity to rural parts of the state that didn't have them. What did that mean? It meant that rural people were buying light bulbs and lamps and dishwashers and rebounded the American economy, saved us from the Great Depression, saved the world during World War II. That was brought to you by Democrats. I think of things like the Great Society, Medicare, Medicaid, expanding Social Security. Those were brought to you by Democrats. We're the party that put a man on the moon when everyone in the world said it was impossible. It was a fiction. It was a farce. It was something only read about in children's books. Democrats did it. And we were the party who balanced the budget the last time that it was balanced. But as I wrap, I will remind you that it was not just Democrats that did those things. It was Texas Democrats that did those things. Because Speaker Sam Rayburn gave you the New Deal. And because Lyndon Johnson gave you the Great Society. Houston scientists put a man on the moon. Lloyd Benson balanced this budget. When Texas Democrats have their shit together, this entire country does great things. The world is counting on you in this room right now to meet this moment. And Texas month is that we're ready for that fight. We're just getting started. Thank you very much.
You're gonna have to follow him.
Give it 2 years after that.
Denton County Dems, State Congress virtually, of being with you in person at the invitation of your chairwoman, Delia Parker-Mims, except for the fact that I am taking our firstborn to college. We successfully parented him through grade school, middle school, high school, graduated from El Paso High earlier this year, go Tigers, and now we're driving out to college. Elsewise, we would be there. Why? Because you guys are my heroes. Here's why. As you know, the modern Democratic Party nationally doesn't give a shit about Texas. It could care less about Alabama, Mississippi, places where tens of millions of our fellow Americans live, work, and are desperate for leadership, representation, and someone to fight for them. They are focused on these 7 swing states, nowhere near Texas. And even though we poured more than $1 billion into them in the 2024 cycle, we still lost every single one of them and the presidency, and we're in the situation that we're in. Nonetheless, there are people across the state of Texas, without the help of the DNC and the National Democrats, who are persistently getting the job done. And nowhere more so than in Denton County. Of the 254 that have visited, your county has shown more spirit, more fight, more tenacity than almost any other part of the state, and I don't know, but probably more than any other part of the country. And that's what it's going to take, because not only do we have to oppose Donald Trump and the batshit crazy stuff that he is doing to this country, to our economy, to everyday Americans and Texans, but we also have to tell ourselves, our friends, our family, our fellow Americans, just what we are for. What is your life going to be like when we put Democrats into positions of public trust and power? Well, we're going to end wars instead of starting them. We're going to stand for human rights for everyone. These are people in Gaza who are being slaughtered by the tens of thousands with the complicity of Catholics. If you elect Democrats, we're going to stand for human rights there, and we're going to work for an independent Palestinian people, an independent state for Palestinian people. And we're going to make sure that all those who live in the region, Israelis, Palestinians, everyone else, is safe and secure. We're going to bring that same logic back home to America and make sure that you're not swept off the streets by masked, plainclothes federal agents without badges or warrants who are not only detaining immigrants, but they're detaining and deporting American citizens as well, some to these gulags in El Salvador, where everyone who goes in is there for a life sentence. That's not American, it's not constitutional, that's not legal. You elect Democrats, not only are we going to stop that stuff, but we're going to rewrite our immigration laws in our own image, reflecting our own values, an expression of the reality that we know in Denton and across the state of Texas. Legalize every dreamer's parents, every other hardworking American who already makes this country great, and make it even greater in the U.S. citizens. These are the kinds of things that we can do, but we have to be able to share that with one another. And I know that the money that you're raising tonight, the work that you're committing yourself to, that is the path to victory, to holding political power, to making life better for our fellow Americans, raising the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to something that you can actually live on, expanding Medicaid, not just fighting its closure or its decimation, but expanding it so every single Texan can see a doctor, receive life-saving medications, be healthy and well enough to do their best in their life. All of these things are possible when all of us do everything we can with what we have where we are. And then you all have been the example and the inspiration for the rest of us when it comes to that. So thank you for the work you're doing. Know that I will be there in person soon enough. Until then, keep up the fight, keep the faith. Thank you for your work.
up in Denton, Texas. I don't know if you make it that way much, but you're up in Denton, Texas, and you are driving around town and you see a little red Toyota with an Ann Richards sticker on the bumper. I would like for you to know right now that you are in the presence of my friend, Marsha Kepper. For those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Angela Brewer. I am from Denton, Texas. It's my hometown. And I got involved in politics back in 1990. There was a woman named Ann Richards. She was running for governor. And some of you might remember her. Yeah? Love Ann. She's the person who lit the fire in me that still burns today to be involved with this party, to be involved in righteous work for the people of our state, the people of our country, the people of the world. I loved Ann Richards with a burning passion. When I graduated from high school, I went off to East Texas, and I was there for a couple of years. In 1994, some of y'all might remember what is still the greatest political heartache of my life. In November of 1994, when Ann Richards lost to George W. Bush. After that, I left East Texas and came back to my hometown in Denton, and I was so blessed, and I do believe I was blessed to meet up with this woman named Marsha Kepper. I joined the College Democrats at UNT, going green in the back. Thank you very much. I was very honored at that time as a college Democrat at the University of North Texas to meet Marsha. Marsha is a person who I call my godmother in Democratic politics. Back in those days when I was 20 years old and I didn't know my head from a hole in the ground and I didn't have any money or any sense, Marsha was able to bring me in and give me the skills and the tools that I need that I still use to this very day to organize in politics in our county and in our state. Here's the thing about Marsha though, back in those days, it wasn't just that she took us college Democrats in, which she always did. She made sure that at every fundraiser like this, where none of us could afford to go, Marsha always made sure we had a job to do so that we could be in that room, so that we could see the vision of what we could be in our party. She always made sure that I was not just a volunteer at a phone bank, but I knew how to run that phone bank, that I knew how to recruit other volunteers, that I knew how to organize them and task them and give them a script to go through, to recruit other volunteers and to get other voters involved in what we were doing. Marsha made sure I didn't know just how to knock on a door and ask a person to come out and be a voter in our party, but I knew how to cut a list. And I knew how to organize volunteers, and I knew how to teach them that script so that they too could go forward and knock on doors and invite voters to participate in our democracy. Marsha made sure I wasn't just a volunteer, but that I became a leader in my party when I was 22 years old. And I cannot thank her enough for that passion. And I think I brought a lot of the passion to the table, but she gave me the skill set I needed to put that passion into action. And that is the legacy that Marsha Kepper has left in the Denton County Democratic Party. And it's not just with me. I had a cohort of friends back there in 1995 and 1996. My friend Scott, he's been a council member in Pearland, Texas. My friend Samantha, I think she doesn't know this, no, she hasn't said this to me, but I think she's gonna run for judge in Denton County. She's super active in the Dallas County Democratic Party, and I think she's gonna run for judge in Dallas County. My friend Christine, she's over in Richardson, I think she's gonna run for city council. All of us were friends together, and Marsha was our godmother in politics. She's the one who taught us how to do what we still do to this day 30 years later. I want to tell you that story tonight because what I want you to understand is the work that she's done isn't just the foundational work that maybe we recognize in running a really cool office or making sure that when we knew Denton County was a really fairly Republican county, that Marsha was putting infrastructure in place to make sure Democrats had a place to go and a place to show up so that they had colleagues who they could work with and that they could build that passion and enthusiasm together. What I want you to know, it's not her individual work, it's the exponential work that she has done for our county party, for our state party, for our country. Because it's not just her work, it's that she has trained me, and she has trained Scott, and she has trained Samantha, and she has trained Christine, and she has trained hundreds of other college Democrats from the University of North Texas and Texas Women's University to do exactly what we are doing today. So her exponential impact is the reason that she is the legacy that we are honoring here in the Denton County Democratic Party tonight. The county party did give me some prepared remarks to make too, so I do want to recognize a few ideas that they wanted to present on top of my personal reflections on what Marcia has been. So Marcia is a founding force behind the Denton County Democratic Club. It was established decades ago as a local organization that was critical in our Republican-leaning county to help Democrats find a home. And it really put in place all of the volunteer work that every person in this room is doing today and has been doing over the last couple of years. Marcia laid the foundation for all of us to be able to build on to so that we are able to do all the great work we're doing and get our county turned blue. In a county that's long leaning Republican, Marcia helped ensure that there remained a Democratic infrastructure in place. And that's hard work, y'all. Building infrastructure, it's not glamorous, it's not cute. You don't put on your sequins and get to stand in front of audiences and talk about your infrastructure, right? It's not cute stuff. It's not sexy stuff, as Delia likes to say. But it is the foundation that we have to plug our volunteers in. So all of you who have come to our party to volunteer and to work hard to change our county and change our state, you're plugging into an infrastructure that Marcia Keffer built. Her impact, though, goes beyond politics. She is an incredibly active member of the Denton community as a hometown girl from Denton, Texas. I will tell you, Marcia is super active, not only in Democratic Party politics, but she is a proud alumni of the University of North Texas. Thank you very much. And she is very active in the arts community in our hometown. She's not just an organizer, but she's a good neighbor, she's a mentor, she's someone who really encourages newcomers. She makes sure that everyone is listened to, that their concerns are heard, and that we foster a respectful and open environment for civic participation. Her vision and initiative are part of what makes her extraordinary. She envisioned a permanent, organized Democratic presence in Denton County at a time when we were outnumbered by Republicans nearly 4-1. I want you to look around this room right now. When Marcia started working in Democratic politics in this town, we could have filled 2 tables. I appreciate the laughs, but it's not a joke. We could have filled 2 tables. So what you are seeing in the room around you now, what you have experienced in the volunteer work that you've done in this county party over the last few years, it is all built upon the infrastructure and just dogged determination of Marcia Keffer. So, I'm gonna raise my glass right now because the only thing in this world that Marcia Keffer might like a little bit more than the idea of turning Denton County fully blue is a good drink and a cuss word. So, let me invite you right now, raise your glass with me, and give a big fuck yeah to a blue Denton County. Come on. I am so excited to give you this beautiful award, the 2025 Legacy Award for Marcia Keffer.
And I think this is lovely. Thank you so much. I truly do. I don't think a lot of you realize in this room, but for many years, I had Democrats in my backyard and chili suppers and this, that, and the other for 20 or 30 years anyway. And I miss having all that. I kind of resigned from that stuff. I still volunteer on Fridays at headquarters. So go Dems, and thank you so much.
ain't trying to break the game, but you keep faking fools. They get on it like, hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like boom. They not like us, they not like us. They not like us, they not like us. They not like us, they not like us. They not like us. Yo, why you trying to make a bitch you tired? Trying to strike a chord, it's probably A minor. They not like us. 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 Are you my friend? Are we locked in? Then stare this way. Stare that way. Then stare this way. Stare that way.
Good evening, daring, dynamic, and dare I say dazzling Denton County Democrats. I always love coming to Denton County. My name is Holly Taylor, and I'm running for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And earlier, Delia talked to you a little bit about this court, and really both of the high courts here in Texas and how important they are to protecting our personal and constitutional rights. The first time I met Representative Vikki Goodwin was in 2024 when I ran for this court the first time. And I was campaigning across the state of Texas. I was going all over the state. And everywhere I went, I ran into Vikki. She was there. And I was shocked because I'm like, you're not running statewide in 2024. But she was there. And not only was she there, she knew everybody all over the state in urban, suburban, and rural areas. And they knew her. And it was clear that they trusted her. And I thought, wow. And we got to know each other a little bit during that time. And I learned that we have a few things in common. Both of us attended the University of Texas. Both of us have master's degrees from the LBJ School of Public Affairs and Public Policy. And Vikki, like me, is a passionate supporter of our Texas public schools. So Vikki grew up in Dallas and she moved to Austin in 1985 where she attended school and then she raised a family and now she's a small business owner. She and her husband have a residential real estate firm. She is serving her 4th term in the Texas legislature representing the 47th district, that's parts of Austin and the Lake Travis area. And you might have heard that she is running for lieutenant governor. And she's running against this guy. You may have seen him in these viral internet videos featuring THC products. You seen those? Fortunately, Vikki has experience flipping Republican districts. In November 2018, when Vikki won the general election for her House seat the first time by 52%, she defeated an incumbent Republican. And her top policy priorities mirror core Democratic values. Increased funding to our public schools, housing affordability, which she really Vikki understands, with her real estate background, water infrastructure, absolutely critical, and access to health care. But most recently, with her Democratic colleagues, Vikki has done something quite extraordinary. A historic quorum break. Which brought the eyes of the nation, no, brought the eyes of the world on the serious situation we have here in Texas, and inspired meaningful nationwide action. And I want to finish with a quote from Vikki that I think truly reflects her spirit. She says, "I will always treat every Texan with dignity, compassion, and respect." Please welcome State Representative and future Lieutenant Governor Vikki Goodwin.
Well, good evening, Denton County and Texas Democrats. So nice to be with you here again. Y'all remember I was here a year ago, so I appreciate being welcomed back. And I can see that Chairwoman Parker-Mims knows the community. It's all about building relationships. And over the last couple of weeks, I built some relationships. You know, I was on this trip with 50 of my best friends. So that was my second quorum break to participate in. The two were very different. Lots of stories I could tell. But I started the quorum break actually going to Albany, New York. So there was a small group of us, in fact, several small groups went to different states to meet with the governors, to talk about what's going on in Texas. Because while, you know, Texas is a big state and we are very important, you know, every state has their issues. And so we wanted to make sure that they were really clear on what was happening in Texas. Obviously, Trump said that he was entitled to 5 more Republican congressional seats because his popularity is going down the toilet. And he knows that's what he needs to maintain control in Congress to continue to get his agenda passed. And we cannot let that happen, can we? No, and the Texas Democrats knew that we were going to have to stop it. But we also knew that we had this tragedy, July 4th floods. And it didn't affect just Kerrville, it actually impacted Travis County. I don't know if any of y'all heard of Sandy Creek, but there were people who lost their lives in Travis County in the floods as well, lost their lives, their homes. And so we didn't want to leave the state if the Republicans were going to address the flood situation first. We knew they weren't going to. We knew that was a smokescreen. Governor Abbott used it as an excuse to call a special session, but we knew. But we stayed for a couple of weeks just to be sure. And of course, then they had these hearings. 3 hearings throughout the state. Wasn't that generous? The chairman of the committee kept talking about how generous he was in having these hearings that he didn't have to hold. Austin, Houston, Arlington. Well, last night I was in San Antonio and they were a little bit miffed that, hello, we have one of the biggest population cities here in Bexar County. How about you hold a hearing here? But that wasn't the point. It was just, again, it was a sham. It was a setup to say, oh, we held these hearings with no maps. So by the way, the chairman informed people who came to the hearings to testify that since we don't have a map, you can't testify for or against. You have to be neutral. Well, people ignored that and they said, we are against this process of redistricting in the middle of the decade because we see what you're doing. you are following Trump's orders. We went until the Wednesday when they released the map, and then 2 days later, Friday, they held a hearing in Austin on the map that people had had 2 days to look at and figure out whether they were for it, of course against. And then on Saturday, they rushed through, we're going to hold a vote on the floor, and we knew it was time for us to leave the state. In the meantime, I had been asked to go to Albany, New York to visit with Governor Hochul. The interesting thing that we learned by going to these other states, democratically led states, is that they actually believe in good government, and they have passed laws that make it impossible for them to ram through new redistricting maps like Texas can. California has an independent redistricting commission. New York has something similar to where, when we met with Governor Hochul, she said, I am going to start the process of redistricting New York in response to what Texas is doing. Man, she was great. She reminds me a little bit of me, you know, very calm and polite on the outside, but fierce and determined on the inside. She said, I'm going to start the process, but the problem is New York has rules in place. It will take 2 votes of our assembly, and we can't do that in time for the 2026 election. But I don't care, I'm going to start that process anyway. So here we have these Democratic states doing the right thing. And oh, by the way, there is a Republican congressman in California who filed legislation, federal legislation, saying that we should not be redistricting mid-decade, because he is worried about losing his seat in this California redistricting. So this has started a nationwide conversation, and that was the whole point of what we did. That is why we left the state, to make sure not just people in Texas knew what was going on, but people across the U.S. Would you say that we were successful? Yeah. We were absolutely successful in raising awareness of the population, of the governors of other states, and starting the conversation about what we need for federal legislation. We should not be redistricting mid-decade, so 1 redistricting a decade after the census is done. Every state should have an independent redistricting commission. And for congressional districts, we should do the same thing that we do for our legislative districts, and that is have a rule that you have to keep your cities whole and your counties whole as much as possible. So, you know, I am proud of having gone on that form break. Came back on Monday, this past Monday, and we were told that in order to leave the House floor, we would have to sign a permission slip and have a DPS officer following us. Now, you can imagine after 2 weeks of being away from home, most of us, all of us, had things we had to do, whether it was go to the grocery store, go to a doctor's appointment, pick up kids, make sure our elderly parents were okay, all these things that we had to do. So most of it signed it just to get out of there. But Representative Nicole Collier, I have to hand it to her. She said, oh no, I am not signing a permission slip. I am an adult. I am an elected official. I am not going to be followed by DPS. And what a brave woman. We all would have done that had we not had other things to do. So yes, I had a DPS officer following me, and he actually apologized to me. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm just doing what I'm told. I felt bad for him, but not that bad. And then Wednesday, we had to vote on the map. As soon as that vote was done, oh, sorry, your security service is done. So now we're free again. And just yesterday, y'all might have heard, yesterday or 2 days ago, Dan Patrick had a press conference to announce that he's going to run for re-election. He has announced it a few times already, and he said in this press conference, people don't seem to believe that I'm running for re-election. I think it's actually some Republican senators who would like to take his place, but they're afraid. They are sincerely afraid of Dan Patrick because he has that much power. When somebody has that much power that a senator is afraid of him, that is too much power.
Yeah.
I am running because we have got to stop the corruption. We've got to stop him ruling the Senate with an iron fist, and he just had bad policy. You know, ramming vouchers through. When I am Lieutenant Governor, I am going to bring that $1 billion back into our public education system. And when I am Lieutenant Governor, I am going to make sure that this is a welcoming place for our OB-GYNs. A place where women can feel confident in getting pregnant. So while I was away in Chicago, my recently married daughter-in-law made the announcement that she is pregnant. They don't live in Texas. And I don't know if it entered their consideration when they were looking for places to live, but I'm telling you, if I were thinking about getting pregnant, I would not be in Texas. So we've got to make sure people can get the health care, whether it was reproductive health care or just basic preventive health care for their kids, for them, for adults. You know, this cutting of Medicaid, while the big ugly bill is going to have an impact, they made it so it would be after 2026, but it's starting to have impacts now. And I think that that is going to be the downfall of Trump and a lot of Republicans in Congress and a lot of Republicans in the House. You know what? One of the questions is, we haven't won a statewide election. Democrats haven't won a statewide election in 30 years. How are we going to do it? And I tell you what, being here tonight shows me how we're going to do it. It's going to be doing things like our chairwoman here, like our chairman, Kendall Scudder, is doing, building relationships all over the state. And I am so proud to be here, to be doing it with you. Thank you.
Tell the storm I'm new. I'm the wild plumber march on the regular, painted white flags blue. Lord forgive me, I've been running blind in truth. I'm a rain on this bitter love. Tell the sweet I'm new. Ooh, I'm telling these tears go and fall away. Oh, may the last one burn into flames.
Y'all, it feels good to be in a room full of Denton County Democrats. My name is Peter Munjaquera Jr.,
and I am your state Democratic committeeman for Congressional District 26, and I'm proud to be the president of the Denton County Young Democrats. And I just have to share, I'm also an attorney, and I represent renters who are getting evicted. And I have to let you know, if y'all don't feel it personally, that Donald Trump's policies are hurting real working Texans. And I need you to hear this story. I had a client 1 month ago who was facing an eviction with 3 children, a 3-year-old son and 6-month-old twins. She sat next to me, and when the judge asked her, "Ma'am, why did you miss the rent?" She said, "Your Honor, my mother was deported last month, and I can't afford childcare. So I had to pick between the rent and making sure my kids had a place to go while I worked." The policies of this administration have real consequences. And it is so important that we're here today building the infrastructure and providing the money this county party needs to fight back. I'm really grateful for you. And I'm especially grateful for a Democrat like our next speaker, James Talarico. Who embodies a new generation of Texas Democrats. In just 4 terms in the Texas House, he has become a champion for public education, the fearless critic of Christian nationalism. Too often driven by division and extremism, Representative Talarico has shown that progress is possible, compromising where he can and standing strong when Texans need him most. And when Greg Abbott and Donald Trump tried to hijack our democracy, James was one of more than 50 courageous Democrats who broke quorum, denying and delaying Abbott's partisan power grab. On the tarmac, moments before boarding the plane to Chicago, Representative Talarico made the stakes clear. We're not fighting for the Democratic Party. We are fighting for the democratic process. Yes. And when crooked Ken Paxton tried to remove him from office, James had 4 words for him. Come and take it. These aren't just bold moves. They come from a leader who truly believes in what he stands for. He is a Democrat who brings faith, values, and moral clarity into his politics. At a time when division dominates our country, he finds common ground without sacrificing principle and builds respect through shared values. Now more than ever, we need Democrats who can break through the noise and regain people's trust. Friends, James Talarico is the kind of leader who will help us flip Texas blue, defeat Donald Trump, and protect our democracy. Join me in welcoming Democratic State Representative James Talarico.
I originally got elected by flipping a Trump district in Williamson County, Texas, which is kind of like the Denton County of Central Texas. And so I understand the work that y'all do day in and day out. Y'all are on the front lines of turning this state blue, and I'm honored to be here with all of you tonight. Before I was a politician, I was a public school teacher. I taught 6th grade language arts at Rhodes Middle School on the west side of San Antonio. And I often say that teaching middle school is the best preparation for politics. The west side of San Antonio is a beautiful, historic Mexican-American neighborhood. It's also one of the poorest zip codes in the state of Texas.
My students weren't just kids, they were survivors, dreamers, fighters. I saw in their eyes this unshakable resolve, this unconquered spirit. Their hearts burned with a fire older than the world. There was a word that the veteran teachers would use to describe the kids on the West Side, a Spanish word, ganas. Growing up, I saw that same fighting spirit in my mother, a preacher's daughter from Laredo, who left home at 19, moved up to Austin, and met my birth father, a 21-year-old high school dropout, whose drinking problem sometimes led to violence. And one night, he became abusive again. But that night, my mother's love rose to meet it. And she packed all of our stuff into her little Ford Escort. She drove me to the hotel where she worked. She begged the manager to let us stay in one of the rooms until we found this little apartment in East Austin. And there wasn't room for a nursery, so I slept in a crib in her closet. And she was so proud of that closet. She decorated it with toys and pictures. No one was going to tell her it wasn't a nursery. Like my students, my mom was a fighter. And back then, she looked over at the state capitol and she saw Texas Democrats like Ann Richards and Bob Bullock fighting for her. And so, when I was 5 years old, she told me we were Democrats. Because, she said, Democrats fight for the people. Now, let's be honest, we haven't seen that kind of fight from the National Democratic Party in quite a while. The Democratic Party has forgotten how to fight. But this critical moment in our country's history demands fighters, not folders. Imagine a Democratic Party that stands up to big money and isn't captured by it. Imagine a Democratic Party that listens to the people, not DC consultants. Imagine a Democratic Party that uses every tool in the toolbox and plays to the fullest extent of the rules. And imagine a Democratic Party that delivers for people on healthcare, housing, and education, and actually defeats the right-wing extremists who have taken over this country. National Democrats don't know how to fight. They're comfortable on the coasts and comfortable with the status quo. But there's something about living in a red state that makes you scrappy. Because Texas Democrats know how to fight. Whether it was LBJ pushing the Great Society through Congress, or Barbara Jordan impeaching Richard Nixon, or Wendy Davis holding the floor of the Texas Senate for 13 hours. Or Beto O'Rourke interrupting Greg Abbott's press conference in Uvalde. Or Texas House Democrats breaking quorum to shine a national spotlight on Trump's redistricting calendar. Texas Democrats know how to fight for the people. We desperately need a Democratic Party that is a little less Washington and a little more Texas. 3 weeks ago, my Democratic colleagues and I left our beloved state because the most powerful man in the nation told our Republican colleagues to redraw our political maps in the middle of the decade. Because he wants 5 more seats in Congress. Because he's worried about losing his majority in the 2026 elections. Because he's wrecking the economy, protecting pedophiles, and kicking millions of people off their health care to fund tax cuts for himself and his billionaire friends. When we were told to bend the knee, Texas Democrats stood up. We stood up to the governor of Texas. We stood up to the DC party bosses. We stood up to the billionaire mega donors. And we stood up to the President of the United States. Because we did not swear an oath to Donald Trump We swore an oath to the Constitution. When we broke quorum, we didn't know if it would work. But when the stakes were high and the odds were long, we did the only thing we could. We took a leap of faith. And when we did, we were inundated with prayers and messages from people across the political spectrum. We were flooded with grassroots donations from across the state, across the country that made our act of defiance even possible. One group of kids even sent us all extra toothbrushes. We took a leap of faith and the people caught us. Together we shined that national, international spotlight on Trump's power grab. Together we sparked momentum for states like California to redistrict and cancel out the 5 stolen seats in Texas. And last weekend, thousands of Americans from all walks of life gathered together at protests in more than 100 towns and cities across this nation. This is a bipartisan movement with one simple message. Voters should choose their politicians, not the other way around. This week, my colleagues and I returned to the House floor to build a detailed, public, legislative record that will be used to kill these Texas maps in the courts. And we, in that process, recognized that this is going to take way more than 51 Texas House Democrats. It's going to take all of us. Because once we stop this power grab, we must pass a national ban to end gerrymandering once and for all. I want to leave you with one last thought. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. And he taught me when I was real little that we follow a barefoot rabbi who gave 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. Because there is no love of God without love of neighbor. Every single person bears the image of the sacred. Every single person is holy. Every single person counts. This American experiment started with that same self-evident truth that all people are created equal. This democracy of ours is a lot more than a constitution. It's a covenant. It's a relationship between neighbors. It's a promise that we make to each other to share this country. Some of the most powerful people in this nation are breaking that promise. As we speak, with every gerrymandered district, with every suppressed vote, they are breaking that sacred promise. And breaking promises in a relationship is not love. It's abuse. And my mom taught me that true love doesn't tolerate abuse. 2,000 years ago, when that barefoot rabbi saw the powerful people picking on those with little power, he walked into the seat of power and flipped over the tables of injustice. His love rose to meet that abuse without becoming it. To those who love democracy, to those who love our neighbors, it's time to start flipping tables. That was what my granddad taught me. That's what my mom taught me on the east side of Austin. That's what my students taught me on the west side of San Antonio. That's what LBJ and Barbara Jordan taught me. It's what Wendy and Beto taught me. And together, Texas Democrats, that is how we will take back this state and this nation in 2026. Con ganas. Thank you all for all that you've been doing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.